Hey, good morning, and yes, Jeff Roberts ready to make it happen in master control. There it is at the Grand Ole Opry House in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Coffee, Country, and Cody from the Magnolia Lobby Studio of the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. Our streaming platforms, you can find them and link to them as well when you go to circlecountry.com. And Circle Now is the app available in your app store. Great thing about the app, on demand for up to 24 hours. Welcome to the 30th anniversary week celebration of this mess that has survived all those decades. Coffee, Country, and Cody. There's Kelly Sutton. That's Charlie Mattos. We got little Easy back there, studio director, Annie Nye. And what do all these songs have in common? Kelly Sutton.
Okay.
Waiting on a Woman, Brad Paisley. Midnight Montgomery, Alan Jackson. Rebecca Lynn, Brian White. Tough Little Boys, Gary Allen. Joe Nichols, What's a Guy Gotta Do? Jimmy Wayne's I Love You This Much and Paper Angels, among others. What do they all have in common?
They were all huge hits. They probably all went to number one.
I wish I'd wrote them all.
Yeah. Well, the guy who did is going to guest with us straight ahead.
Yes.
Don Sampson is in the house. And I met him the first night I was in town. Troy Tomlinson said, hey, man. Well, actually, it was Tom Atkinson who was in charge here. He was in charge of corporate communications for Gaylord. Said, hey, I know you just got to town. You don't have your family here yet because they wouldn't come for a couple of months. And Charlie wants to know how you worked that deal out.
Yeah, I've yet to be able to. I'm 60. I haven't figured out that deal.
So I meet Troy Tomlinson, who is the host of this writers' round that included Dean and Don Sampson and Monty Powell. And that was my first night in town.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
So Don Sampson's been kind enough to come in and help me celebrate 30 years this morning.
That's amazing. It's going to be a good day. Today, tomorrow, both incredible shows. So stay tuned for that. Hey, we're talking about entertainment headlines. ACM Lifting Live is happening. They've added a lot more friends to that lineup. So I'll give you that coming up. Happy birthday, Carly Pierce. She's doing something special for all of us on her birthday. I've got the details on that. And happy to hear Kelly Pickler back on stage. So we've got details on that as well.
And Charlie Mattos has an 11-year-old as of today on Carly Pierce's
Happy birthday, Jackson.
Yes, I'm really only 38. This is what a child does to you. It ages you dramatically. So,
That's a very true story.
yes.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
So looking back on 30 years, Don Sampson was a part of my first night in this town as a part of a Southern Living Writers Round. And I'd watched these Writers Rounds on Austin City Limits, and I'd heard about them in interviews, but never been a part of one. And so Tom Atkinson, he was in charge of communications here at Gaylord at the time. And Tom invited me down, and Troy Tomlinson was large and in charge. He was the master of ceremonies that evening, if he's up listening. And there was Dean Dillon, Monty Powell, and Don Sampson, who has come several times through the years on milestone occasions, because there's a song we're going to get to in a little bit by that title, to celebrate with me. So thank you for getting up early and coming in, man.
Yes, sir. Oh, I've been up for hours. The amazing thing about that night, Bill, is that you actually stayed after you witnessed the whole debacle going on down there.
What was your first ever writers round like that when you first got to town?
Oh, gosh.
You remember?
It was at Douglas Corner. That is no longer here. And it was with, I want to say, Monty Holmes, Tommy Connors, and Tony Arata came by. And, you know, that had to have been 87, 86, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And
Had you just gotten to town, or had you been here a while?
I actually moved to town in January of 83. Good grief.
Did you come?
So last year was 40 years for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you come to be a country music singing star, or a Hall of Fame quality songwriter, or a little of both at that time?
I came to town not knowing what. All I knew is I loved to pick and sing and write. And I had left Virginia, where I was born and raised, and moved to Texas for a year. And because I wanted to play in the honky tonks and did the baseball thing in college and
Where'd you play?
at George Mason University.
Okay.
And,
What position?
Pitcher.
Okay.
And I, like somewhere during my junior year, it was like, oh, this isn't going anywhere. And I was playing in a little band around there, and I said, time to do something else. And so I left. And
Something that had some security to it.
Oh, definitely.
Music.
It's crazy, because the baseball thing, I just kind of fell into that when I was a kid. But
Yeah.
first love for me and my dad, especially my dad, was music,
Who were your favorites? The two of you shared.
My favorites were his favorites.
Yeah.
The first song, I was born almost 10 years after Hank Williams died. And my dad wanted to name me Hank.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. That was his guy. And the first song I remember hearing my life was the old Luke the Drifter, The Funeral.
Oh, my goodness. It's about a child's death.
Oh, yeah, and it just scared the crap out of me.
It's the
Nice.
saddest thing
Oh,
you've
yeah,
ever heard.
yeah. But I remember that being the first music that I remember hearing. And then, when I got to be like in kindergarten in the mid-'60s, I was Buck Owens 24/7. And then because of Buck Owens and, his TV show, Here Come Haggard.
Yeah.
And then it was, ooh. And it just went from there.
Did you ever meet Buck?
No, but funny story. I was Tough Little Boys had been out, with Gary Allen, and Gary and Buck were close. And producer here in town, who was a great friend of mine, produces Brad and Frank Rogers, great songwriter. And Frank had been out in Bakersfield with Buck, and he told Buck after Gary went, and he said, Sampson is, he's a kid. You were God to him. And so I took the girls. Our two girls were, still in school, and I drove them to school. And I just pulled in the Lowe's parking lot, and my phone rang, and it was, what do you call? Not a number.
Unknown caller.
Unknown
Yeah.
caller. I almost didn't pick it up. I picked it up. Hello. Hey, Don? Yeah. Buck Owens. Beep. And then he said, is this Don? And I said, yeah. And I'm thinking somebody's playing a joke on me. He said, our buddy Frank asked me to call you. I love that Tough Little Boys song. And then it was, and I sat in the parking lot of Lowe's, and me and Buck talked for about 20 minutes. And
man.
it was great.
That
Great.
is so cool.
Did you ever meet Merle?
I did. And it didn't go well.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, no.
Why?
I think at the time in his life and some of the substances that he
Oh,
was.
okay.
And one of my songwriting heroes who became a great friend of mine, mentor really, was Red Lane.
Yeah.
And it was late 80s, and me and Red was writing one night, in the office, and Red had on and off played in the Strangers for years,
Right,
and
yeah.
written for Merle, and a bunch of stuff. And about midnight, he said, hey, Hag's down at Emerald cutting, and you want to go meet him? It's like, dang right I do.
And that's Emerald Studio on Music Row,
Right.
for people who don't know.
And so we went down there and walked in the studio, and I'm not the sharpest pair of scissors in the drawer, but I could feel something wasn't right when I walked in the studio, and I'll never forget it. He was cutting a song that I think was a single but not a hit, 501 Blues.
Yeah.
They were running that when we walked in, and it just didn't feel good, so I went outside, and Red comes in, and 2 or 3 minutes later, I'm standing there on the back porch thinking, God, this ain't... and the door opened up, and it was Merle. And he looked at me, and I looked down at him, and he just shook his head, and he nudged me out of the way, and he went to the bus. And I'm going, oh, my gosh. And a few minutes later, I don't know what he did in the bus, but here he came back, and I'm still standing there, and he walks up on the steps and grabs the door to open it and go back in, and he looks at me. He said, why are you still here? And went in, and I went,
Okay.
Merle, but you don't understand.
Don Sampson is on Coffee Country and Cody this morning. Give us the backstory on this wonderful song. The video would, in time, feature Andy Griffith.
Oh, mercy.
With Brad Paisley and Waiting on a Woman. Where'd you get that idea?
Me and my old buddy Win Barble, I'm sure you know Win, we were actually writing, working on another song. And it was at his place out in Hampshire, Tennessee. And he got a call from an old buddy of his in South Florida that he used to pick with. And the guy told him that one of their mutual friends was sick and he was in the hospital. And if you want to talk to him, you better call him. And so Win said, hey, I need to call this old boy. And he's sitting there and he's talking to him and he asked about his wife and said, I told her just to go on home, so now I'm just kind of laying around here waiting on a woman to get back. And when Win hung up, he told me that, and we thought, waiting on a woman. And my father-in-law, Big Herb, had just recently passed. And I immediately thought of him and my mother-in-law. And, Win was thinking about his buddy, and I can't even remember the song that we were working on because it, instantly went to the Waiting on a Woman.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
Don Sampson, our special guest, helping me celebrate 30 years of Coffee, Country, and Cody at WSM Radio and the Grand Ole Opry. Who'd you want to be? You said you had a bit of a baseball career, successful baseball career. You got to college ball. Who'd you want to be? Who, as a pitcher, who was your idol?
Jim Palmer, Baltimore Orioles Hall of Famer.
Good call.
Yeah.
And underwear model.
Well,
you remember?
That's what I really wanted to do.
So I'm shocked that as a child growing up in the D.C. area, you favored the Orioles and not the always successful Washington Senators of your childhood.
You know what? I was at RFK.
Were you really?
For the last game the Senators played there that they ended up forfeiting.
Why did they forfeit?
Because of a riot.
I don't think I knew this story.
Frank Howard hit a home run, and next thing you know, they're hanging sheets from the outfield. Bob Short was the owner that was moving them, and there was derogatory comments that I had to ask my dad what that meant. And he said, "Never mind, boy."
Oh, wow.
And when they stormed the field and we stood there and watched, I had my Senator's jacket on, and Casey Cox out of the bullpen had tossed me a baseball before the game, so I got my hand on it in my pocket, and the riot started, and we stood there for a minute, and my dad tapped me, "Come on, boy, let's get out of here." Mm-hmm. And so we left after the riot started.
That's one of those you should probably write that down in a song somewhere. Got out before the riot started. What was the first song that you had published when you came to town? The first one that you knew was going to be a cut. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was actually a song that me and Skipper Ewing wrote.
Oh, that's Skip.
We had run into each other and became friends, and you know how they say opposites attract. And me and Skip there's not two more opposite human beings in the world. But we wrote some great stuff early on, and it was I was on kind of a Floyd Tillman kick.
Oh man!
And in E flat, we got to do this. And I had an idea for a song and that kind of feel, and it was a song me and Skip called "Don't Mind If I Do."
Nice.
That straight cut.
Yeah.
That was my first cut.
Man, that's pretty
You heard
solid.
that. George Strait
was your first cut. All of the frustrated songwriters around right now just went, really?
You just had to say that out loud, didn't you?
Yeah, first and only.
Wow.
So, May the 25th, 2022, Bill Cody's Pick of the Week, Willie Nelson, Dusty Bottles, that you co-wrote with, you said Scotty Emmerich and...
Jim Moose Brown.
Yeah.
The three of us, and I had actually been playing just this little old simple melody for a couple of weeks around the house, which I never do. I'm usually lyric first, and me and Scott and Moose were getting together to write, and first thing I did was break out my guitar and started playing it. And oh man, I love that. What is it? And I don't know. And, we stood there, or we sat there for like 3 hours, and throwing out idea and nothing. And then Moose started talking about lunch, and for me, when lunch occurs, the day is over.
That's right.
So I wasn't interested in that, and so I tried to keep the conversation going, and being men of a certain vintage now, conversation turns to certain things. And Scotty, who is, he's 12 or 15 years younger than me and Moose, and he said, well, I guess there is something to be said for being younger. And as soon as he said that, I almost screamed, no, there's something to be said for getting older. And which became the first line of the song, and then it just kind of rolled out.
Isn't that beautiful?
So pretty.
Sit down and have a drink with Father Time. I think that's my favorite line in the whole song. It's 30 years have passed here on Coffee Country and Cody, and my friend Don Sampson has come to help me celebrate.
So you referenced that Paisley put his own stamp on Waiting for a Woman. Willie was incredibly faithful to what you just played. I mean, that's the exact same song.
Yeah.
And at age 90, just shy of his 90th birthday, when he cut it, it's just even more poetic.
Well, actually, he put that out in April of for his 90th birthday.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He's going to be, in less than a week, he'll be 91. And he's still out on tour.
Yeah, the crazy thing about that is I've got, I think it was 37 years in between Willie cuts. I got a cut on the Horse Called Music album back in '88, and then
2023.
it's like, number one, he's still around. Number two, I'm still around. Nuts.
Would you close with Milestones, which was my request and has been on many occasions, special occasions in my life and career?
Yeah, Bill, you don't know what this means to me. The first night that we met at a writer's night, I'd just written this song, and the song's never been cut, and probably never will be. But that's okay, because the song had a life, and the song had a life because of you. So thank you.
forever memorable, that moment in time in my 30-year career. Coffee, Country, and Cody from my friend Don Sampson.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the milestones.
Congratulations.
And here's to many more.
Yes, sir.
For both of us.
Yes, sir.
On Coffee, Country, and Cody, WSM Radio, CircleCountry.com, our streaming platforms. You can link there. Circle Now. It's available in your app store. On demand for up to 24 hours.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey Bill, Scotty McCreery here. Just wanted to wish you a very happy congratulations on 30 years at WSM Radio. I appreciate so much about you, man. I appreciate what you've done for country music. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate seeing you on the Grand Ole Opry stage and introducing us out there. It always makes us feel at home when we get out there. So congratulations, man. Thank you for all you do. Congrats, 30 years.
Hey Bill, it's Rhonda, Vincent, and I love you so much, and I want to say congratulations. 30 years, wow. How many times have I been by there? I don't know. But anyway, congratulations, and I hope to come see you again soon.
Bill Cody, 30 years at WSM. Are you kidding me? Congratulations, and we're glad. Here's to another 30. How about that?
Oh, John Conlee backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, just giving you all kinds of love. And hopefully you're feeling it. Everybody I've seen this week is like, you tell Bill I said hey, and I've been listening to him my whole life. I grew up listening to him, and I was like, well, I'll let him know.
Well, you got a dose of it last night because you hosted the Tuesday Night Opry with Dirk Bentley. And, gosh.
Everybody that was there. Chris Jansen. Charlie Cook was there. He says hello.
Oh, yeah.
He's
guest announcer last night.
Yeah, he was guest announcer. He said that was a bucket list. He always had wanted to do it, and he is stepping away. He's the vice president of country for Cumulus Radio Group, but he has been in country radio. Started in 1970, close to Ypsilanti, Michigan. I can't remember the exact location, but he has been in Miami and LA, and of course here in Nashville and all over the place. And he said, May 31st, we are hanging it up. That's it. I'm going to move out west and retire and do some traveling and all the good things. But being an announcer on the Grand Ole Opry was on his bucket list. So
was he not
did that last
part of WSM FM for a while too? I thought he was in the family.
Still technically I think he's program director right now for the Big 98 and I think WSM FM, if I'm not. No, maybe not.
Well, that seems like a conflict to me.
Okay, maybe not. No, there are two that. Oh, I'm sorry, KDF. He's at KDF. Right. My bad. Yeah, I know your face was like, no. I'm like, forgot.
Like, I own the Crystal and the White Castle. I want all the money.
But yeah, he was so great last night.
And I met him back in the 80s when I was in Louisville. He was doing some consulting work with the station there.
He's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, everybody, let's talk entertainment headlines. ACMs are coming up quick, man. They're going to be here May 16th. You can watch it all happen. It's going to be in Frisco, Texas. Now, of course, it's not just the awards. There are days worth of things that happen. We are going down. I'm actually going to get there on Monday for the show that's on Thursday. So yeah, it's a whole week of events. And one of the things that they do every year is ACM Lifting Lives. So the Lifting Lives portion of the ACM is their charitable arm. They give money to, of course, schools all around. They do a wonderful thing for teachers to make sure that music is still a part of education. And every year they do a huge concert near the ACMs. This one, they've just announced, is going to be stacked. Jordan Davis, Old Dominion, Ashley Cook, and Cameron Marlowe are joining the headliner that was already announced, which is Parker McCollum. That's all going down May 15th. So the day before the big awards, this is the party. It's going to be at Top Golf. That is right there in the Star. If you've ever been to Frisco, where the Dallas Cowboys are located.
Bill.
The Dallas Cowboys are located.
Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. It's nice for you to mention the Dallas Cowboys.
We tried to do that.
They're owned by Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
When you were off one morning, we tried to do that. And
neither one of us can do it. Neither one of us.
We couldn't even
We cannot do a Jerry Jones impersonation to save our lives. But yeah, so this is all happening right there. It's all on the same complex. And it's going to be a very fun night. And all the money raised goes to ACM Lifting Lives. Again, that concert happening. Jordan Davis, Old Dominion, Ashley Cook, and Cameron Marlowe. That's the day before the big awards.
And the complex suplexes owned by Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. Thank you for calling, Jerry Jones.
If I see him this year, I'm getting a picture. He walked by me last year, and I just did one of those like, oh, that was Jerry Jones. And I did not even think to like trip him or anything.
So charismatic.
I love it. All right, Carly Pierce, happy birthday to you, girl.
Yeah.
We love you, and we know that you love us because you're giving us the gift. She said, here's what we're going to do. Tonight, join me for a birthday happy hour and special announcement on Instagram Live at 5 p.m. Central Time. So pour yourself a little glass of something and fire up the computer or get it up on your phone and watch Carly Pierce live at 5. That is happening today on her birthday. She has a new album coming out, Hummingbird. It's going to be out on June 14th. It's available for pre-order right now. Speaking of performances, we got to see Kelly Pickler back on stage this week, and that was so wonderful. We haven't seen her in a while. Kelly, of course, American Idol fame. We loved her so much. She's been in country music forever, it seems like. Had her show Pickler and Ben, which was huge and showcased so much what was happening here. Her husband, Kyle Jacobs, we lost him last year, unfortunately, and it's just been 14 months of a lot of things that she's had to work through. Thoughts and prayers have been with her. I know so many people that have reached out to her. Last night was the first night, actually I should say Monday night was the first night that she'd been back out on stage since Kyle's passing. She was a part of that tribute for Patsy Cline, and she performed The Woman I Am. That's a song that she co-wrote with Kyle. It's a Patsy Cline-influenced song, she calls it. And when she was performing, she even said, he's with us tonight. I can feel his presence with us tonight.
How do you sing through something like that?
I don't know. She is a strong girl. Hey, we got new Johnny Cash music coming out. This is going to be very exciting. June 28th. He's
trying to find my note over
You
here,
getting it?
Kelly.
You getting it?
I think that,
It's called Well, All Right. Well, all right, y'all. It's new from Johnny Cash. So what's really cool about this album that's coming out, he is the sole songwriter on all 11 tracks.
Oh, no kidding.
Isn't that cool?
How far back do they go?
Doesn't say.
Doesn't?
No, just said that these are all songs that they found, and he is the sole songwriter. I am sure John Carter, is in the midst of all of it.
Yeah, curator.
We would love
probably.
to have him come in and tell us about it.
Yeah.
Again, that's all coming out June 28th, but that's the Grat track that you get early. Well, all right, from Johnny Cash. Luke Bryan fell down. We all saw it. In case you want to see it again, we still have the video. I'm sure he's like, really, guys? Really? So he's at a show. He's getting everybody fired up. And then, whoa! I mean, it legitimately looked like a stage fall, like a Pratt fall, like he was faking it. It was that big. And he holds up a cell phone. Well, he's since come out and said, you know what? I really didn't slip on the cell phone. I just looked over and saw the cell phone there. So I hammed it up a little bit. He said, all of my water bottles are kept right there at the beginning of the stage. I think one of my water bottles actually spilled, and that's what I fell on. And he also told us he had been going to the chiropractor for weeks before this to get his back straightened out. So the first thought when he landed was, I just got my back fixed, and now I'm going to be down again for the count.
I think that fall would straighten it out.
It would do something.
Yeah,
I heard it.
I
heard it in my head when he went down.
When you see it, it's like, oh. Yeah, because we've all done that kind of, like you fall on ice, and the first thing you do is jump up and look around to see if somebody saw you fall.
Oh, absolutely.
And
It's that kind of, I mean, where you're down so fast,
Sure.
you don't even have time to think about bracing yourself.
2 hours later, you're like, oh, everything hurts.
Yeah,
that's
true.
exactly right. So he's okay. Don't worry about it. Darius Rucker going out on a book tour, y'all. His memoir is coming out very soon. It's called Life's Too Short. It's coming out on May 28th. And he's going to be stopping in New Jersey, New York, and St. Louis, Missouri. So if you want to see Darius in a different form, he's not going to be singing. Well, he might sing a song or two, but he's going to be talking about his book and signing some books. He's got a few stops already lined up for that. He's also going to be doing a Talk Shop Live. So that's happening on May 22nd. You can tune in and see him live. And one more thing, glad to hear Colt Ford is doing well. If you remember, he had a heart attack. He's now come out and said that he died twice. Once on his tour bus before they could get him in the ambulance, and then again on the way to the hospital. Passed away 2 times. He had 3 stents put in. He's doing better, but he canceled all of his shows until August.
That's Kelly Sutton Entertainment. Got a lot of territory covered there, Kelly. So I am told that things are being kept secret from me on my actual 30th anniversary, which is tomorrow, the 25th of April, when Charlie Daniels came calling. He was my first ever guest, in-studio guest. Yesterday, Jeannie Seeley was by. She was the first phone call I got, followed by Gene Shepard. Charlie, when are the Charlie Daniels re-airs? When?
Early tomorrow, 6:15 a.m., 7:15 Eastern Time. We dig back in the archives.
That's going to be awesome. You don't know the rest, and we're not telling you.
Yeah.
So don't ask. Just show up tomorrow.
I know you can't keep a secret. I know that.